Hey guys, welcome to our Back to Jasco Goods. If you're crazy enough to come back for more of this abuse, God bless you. I'm always looking on the internet for the perfect woodworking projects. And what I mean by that is woodworking projects that are easy to build, that are beginner friendly, don't take a lot of tools, low cost, and high profits. So I think I found the perfect one. And not only is it great for high profits, it's also something I really need right now. This project is a new twist on an old concept, and it's trending right now on all the sites. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's get to building.
Okay, so this is the current side table that I have right now. And as you can see, like on the top of it, I always have a bunch of remotes, a book I'm reading because, you know, knowledge is power, a couple snacks, a drink, my glasses, and usually my phone that's being charged. And as you can see here, it kind of sticks out into the walkway a little. So today I want to build what's trending right now, this new narrow side table. So here's a couple I've seen online that I'm going to use for inspiration, but I'm going to make my own. I'm not going to copy these guys. These are selling really well, but I'm going to make my own anyways. And I'm going to make mine out of one 8-foot 2x10 and a little scrap 1x8 I have. So the first cut I make is always the factory edge because it's drier than my wife's meatloaf. After cutting all my pieces, this is all the scrap I had left over from the whole 2x10. So there's all your 2x8 cut up. You got your the top of your table at 24 inches, your two sides at 23.5 inches, and then your bottom shelf is going to be 19 inches. So my table sides are 23.5 inches so that when I put the top on, which is going to be 1.5 inches, that the top of my table is going to be 25 inches. If you want yours shorter, just shorten those sides to like 20 inches or whatever you want. Mine's based off the height of my couch. So the first thing I'm doing right here is I'm just squaring up all my edges. Nothing says I built this in my garage out of construction lumber more than the rounded edges of construction lumber. So I'm cutting an 1/8 inch off each side of all 4 boards, and that should leave you with a 9-inch board, assuming you're starting with a 9.5 inch board. Rough construction lumber always varies a little, and that's okay because you don't have to be exactly 9 inches as long as they're all the same. Here's me doing what I do 90% of my build, looking for my tape measure. Once you find your tape measure, set your fence at 8 inches. I don't know about your saw, but my fence is the worst. It's a Ryobi saw, and when you go to lock it in, it moves the fence. It's such a pain in the butt. So now you're going to cut 1 inch off of 3 of your boards, all of them but your top. Look, even Batman couldn't take my jokes. So now your 2 sides and your bottom shelf will be 8 inches wide, and your top will be 9 inches wide. So you'll have a little bit of overhang on your top. So now you're going to take 2 of those 1-inch strips that you just cut off your other pieces, and you're going to put them up against your fence, and you're going to clamp them there. Your fence should still be set at the 8 inches you used to cut all your pieces to down to 8 inches. Now make sure you leave enough space under your clamp to slide that 1x8 scrap that I mentioned earlier underneath of it. Then put another clamp on the back, again making sure you have enough room underneath of it to slide your 1x8 very freely. And the reason we're doing this is because we're actually making another shelf, but this shelf is going to be the same thickness as your 1x8s, but it's going to have like a recess inside so you can set your like remotes and stuff like that. Let me just show you so you get a better idea. So the bottom is your 2x8, it's going to be your bottom shelf, and the upper part of this is your 1x6 and your 2 sides. That's going to be your little recessed upper shelf. So before I get standing, I'm going to fill in all the little knot holes with some CA glue and then spray it with some activator. I'm using a brown CA glue because I know my stain's going to be brown and this is just going to blend right in. You don't have to use CA glue if you don't want. You can just leave it the way it is, or you can use a wood filler, whatever you want to do on yours, however you want your end result to be. If you do use CA glue, don't try to fill it in all at once. Like if you have a deeper hole, don't try to fill it all in at once. Do it in layers, because if you fill it all in and then you spray it with the activator, it'll just make a skin over it. And then when you go to sand it later, it'll break that skin, and then it'll be like a blister underneath, you know? Now for everybody's favorite part, sanding. I got these little grip things that I put on my table, my bench, and it kind of holds it in place, you see? I got them off of Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to get them. Anything to make the sanding process a little bit easier and enjoyable. Plus, when I'm sanding softwoods, for some reason, stuff on my bench, I don't know if it's little specks of glue or whatever, it always scratches the other side. And then I flip it over and I scratch the side I just sanded, so this just keeps that from happening. I also used my orbital sander to round over the corners of my top because I just wanted to put a little bit of roundness to the corners. Starting to get hot, so here's a little tip for my fellow fatties. If you want to sand with no shirt on, you get a little bit of sawdust in them crevices. under the man boobs and stuff, and it kind of dries up the sweat. You may look like a breaded walrus, but hey, at least your fat rolls will be dry. So I'm using those little pads again, those little grip pads, and I'm using a little trim router, and I'm just rounding the top of the top. Okay, so now I'm going to assemble everything. First thing I'm going to do is assemble this bottom, or the upper shelf. It's going to go like this, and I'm going to use pocket holes from underneath to screw into this, screw and glue, and then I'm going to use pocket holes on the side to screw into the side legs. So like I said, I'm using pocket holes for everything. I'm using pocket holes to attach the bottom shelf to the legs, and then the upper shelf, which is what I'm working on now, the 1x6 with the two sides, to assemble that whole thing like I just said. And the reason I'm doing that is because you're not going to see it they're going to be so low that you're not going to be able to see anything. I mean, even Peter Dinklage couldn't see them. But the top, I need something different to assemble the top. So I bought a little tool on Amazon. It was like 25 bucks, I think, but you could get them even cheaper than that. And I'm going to use that to assemble the top. I'll show you that when I get to it. It's pretty cool. I've never used it before. It's going to be new for me. But it should be super simple. We'll see when I get there. I forgot to put down my parchment paper. Usually I put down a piece of parchment paper whenever I'm gluing stuff up. That way you can leave your project there and then you don't have to worry about it sticking to anything. Here's me holding the screw gun upside down, West Coast drive-by style. West Side! I don't think I gave dimensions, but this is the upper shelf, and this also needs to be 19 inches.
Okay, so I'm using these 2x2s as spacers because I try to keep an even reveal all the way around this thing, or certain things that I make. And I'm trying to keep the 2-inch, or 1.5 inches, I should say, reveal underneath too. All right, and then these are my two sides. I'm gonna look at them and see which ones look the best. So I'm thinking like that looks pretty good. So I'm gonna glue it, then clamp it, then flip it and screw it.
Look at that focus and concentration. If I was only that focused in high school, I wouldn't have repeated 9th grade 3 times.
I want the top of my shelf to sit at, my upper shelf to sit at 6 inches. So I want to make a mark at 7.5 inches. I got to add 1.5 inches for the thickness of the shelf.
So now I'm going to clamp a 1x2 to both sideboards, and this is going to hold up my shelf while I glue it and screw it.
Got a pretty big gap here. I'm hoping I don't hear a crack right now.
So right now I'm just putting my table base on top of the tabletop upside down so I can center it all up and then mark it where it's going to go. If you notice, there's already a gap on the one side. Whoops, greasy mayo fingers. This way when I put the top back on, it'll be really easy to find the center again.
Without planing everything is bowed. Can you see that? The top bowed. So I'm going to have to try to put some pressure on it to get it to clamp down. Take some of the bow out of it. Okay, so I'm going to attach the top using 3/8 dowels. This isn't the tool I was talking about, but I got this from, I think I got it from Amazon. If I did, I'll link it in the description. This is fairly easy for marking dowels. You put it on there and it helps you drill in the center, and then you would put it on another piece to help you drill in the center. But since I'm doing a top, this does me no good. Because the top is just flat. There's nowhere to reference to get a center point, so this doesn't really do you any good. So you don't really necessarily need this. With this other tool that I got, if you can call it a tool, I guess it's a tool because it helps you do something. I can do this into a top without having to worry about even getting it center. But if you another alternative to get it center is I got a bunch of these. I think they came in a 2-pack. Somebody got it. I think my wife got it for me for Christmas. And you can also use this to mark a center line. You just put it on there and it marks a center line for you. What I mostly use it for is it has a magnet and I stick it to any metal surfaces in my garage and it holds my pencils. Wherever I need a pencil, I just have this stuck to it. So you could always use something like this to help you make a center hole, and then you can use something like this This is a drill block. There's one that's made by Craig. It may be better. It pretty much just helps you get a straight hole. You can put that on over top of the hole. It has little grooves to help you get it in the center. And you can put this over top of the hole, and then you could drill your hole centered. Let me drill some holes in this.
So excited to drill a hole, I forgot to put a stop collar on. I drilled like a 6-inch hole for some reason. Here's me realizing what I did and staring at it for 10 minutes, contemplating burning it and just going to color my Spider-Man color book while I watch cartoons and drink chocolate milk. So I had to make my own custom dowel, and then I fluted it myself with these pliers. I learned this from Stumpy Nubs. He's got a video about it on his channel. Now I'm going to finish drilling my holes and show you what I've got.
Okay, so this is the new tool I got. It's this pack right here, and it's got these things that you put in the top of your dowel to transfer the holes over. These were less than $5, so I think I got a 2-pack. Maybe the 2-pack was more than 5. So you just set those into your hole. I got a 2-pack, so it only came with 4. So I'm gonna have to transfer over the 4 I have, put the dowels in, and then transfer over the last one. So earlier I marked out the lines of where my top is gonna go. And now I just gotta match those lines up and then give it a little whack.
The points are kind of sharp, so it's not easy to slide around on here, so you kind of lift it and move it. I was kind of worried about pushing down on it by accident and putting impressions in it in different spots.
Okay, so there we go. I got the top. Now it's time to transfer the marks over. See the marks I left?
So I'm using this 1x2 to set my stop collar because the dowels are 1.5 inches each. So half of that is 3/4 of an inch, and that's the same thickness as this 1x material. So now I'm going to vacuum out all the holes, give it a little dry fit test, and see how it came out. Hopefully all the holes line up and I didn't waste $24. Dang, is that a hand or a ham leg? Okay, so that part worked great. Now all I gotta do is put the dowels back in, the holes that are already drilled, then put the center marking pins in the holes that weren't drilled, tap it out, and then drill the last holes, and there shouldn't be a problem. They should all line up. So now I just gotta do one more dry fit before I glue it up. Uh-oh, something's not fitting. Okay, let's try this again. Cross your fingers. I'm about to burn it and go start watching cartoons. I'm about to burn it. I think what it might be is the custom dowel that I made. I didn't taper the top of it. So let me scrape it on the concrete and taper it a little and see if that helps. Believe it or not, that simple thing was it. Here's the ham hock. Okay, so time to glue the top on. If you guys see any ways that I could have done this differently, or any of the projects I do for that matter, I'm here to learn just like everybody else. If you guys see anything I've done wrong, leave it in the comments. I'm happy to, like I said, I'm happy to learn. That's what I'm here for. I'm no expert. I'm no professional. I'm all about building a community of woodworkers that's here to share ideas. I just wanted to show you guys, when you build stuff out of cheap construction grade materials, you see that gap, and you don't use expensive equipment like planers and stuff like that, it can be done. I mean, look, here's a side table. It's probably better than anything you'd get from IKEA or Walmart or any place else people get furniture from. It'll probably last longer than that, but it's not gonna be perfect. You're gonna have stuff like this because my board cupped, because it's just a soft construction grade wood. If you're gonna practice on this. Just expect that it's not gonna come out perfect. You're gonna have gaps, you're gonna have issues, but you're gonna have fun. You're gonna learn how to use your tools. You're gonna learn how to deal with these issues. And that's the whole point of this woodworking. So just get to building. Okay, so I'm staining this with my favorite color, the Provincial. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Could somebody tell me if I'm not in the comments? Provincial, like who named something that color? Anyways, It's a bare stain. I get it from Home Depot. I like this stain on pine because it goes on very well. I don't need to use a conditioner. It doesn't get blotchy. It's a little thick, so you have to keep putting it on. You have to keep dipping it in the can. But other than that, it works great on pine. If anybody has any other color suggestions or stains that they like and that works good on pine, please leave it in the comments. I'll try something new. And then for my clear coat, I'm using a matte finish bare polyurethane. I also like this one. And as usual, do a minimum of 2 to 3 coats. The can, I believe, recommends 3, but you have to do at least 2 because the first coat is going to make it bumpy because it raises the wood grain. Then you sand it, and the second coat comes out smooth. Third coat is really just for protection, added protection. And then also with pieces this size, I like to do them on a furniture dolly because I can easily turn them, and then you can notice my arm in the reflection. You kind of can move it and look at the reflection to see if you've missed any spots. Works great for clear coating and staining for that matter. I just didn't do it for the stain. And then I like to use a foam brush also while I'm clear coating because see how it doesn't wrap the edges? You can use this and slide down the corner. A brush, the bristles will go around the edge and they'll mess up the top. They would have messed up that top that I've already done. So foam brush. And now for the big reveal. What do you think? I think it came out great. I love it. I don't have that big table next to me anymore. I got a little shelf down there to put all my stuff. I think it makes the living room look sophisticated. I think it looks good. I think it looks very classy. But enough about me. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments.